Welcome back, number 25, Kevin Stevens.
We're all gonna have choices in life. 28 years old, never did a drug in my life. Someone handed me something. So one 30-second decision I made changed the past of my life. For the next 24 years, my life went like this. We're on TV now, so it's kind of
scary.
You know, our radio and our podcast can see on TV, which is kind of new to us. So painfully, like I sat with you guys for a long time, guys, and sat there and say it's never going to be me. You know, now I'm sitting here talking to you guys because it was me. I know how those people feel because I've been in those situations where I've been stuck, and when you're in it, you can't see it. It's very hard. It's a very difficult thing, addiction and substance abuse, and people need help, and we have to get out there and kind of educate people and try to do the best we can to help them.
Best ever series finale was New Hot. Do you remember that?
Didn't one of them talk?
He thought it was all a dream. The whole series.
Okay, we're rolling. You guys good?
How's this sound?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Good, right, Joe?
Okay.
Good. Quiet on the set. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to Crosscheck. My name is Andy Bernstein, and the big guy, Kevin Stevens, is on assignment today, so we will do our best to hold down the fort in his absence. Joining us, as always, is Abington businessman and founder of the Abington Substance Awareness Coalition. I got it.
You got it.
I got it down.
20 shows later, and you got it.
It's about time.
It is.
Right? I'm a quick study. Hello.
This guy got it the first time.
Yeah, so let's welcome our special guest filling in for the big guy, Kevin Tachi. Host
And we brought him just so we didn't have to change the name Kevin.
That's right.
Yeah, that was part of the rider,
The
contract.
nameplate. You know?
Kept it simple. The Queen is not here today.
The Queen's on assignment, too.
The Queen is on assignment, our friend Alyssa Horton, our co-host. But Kevin Tachi is here filling in. He is the host of Monday Night Talk on WATD 95.9, the South Shores radio station.
I would like to say that I got a nice little analogy here,
Okay.
and that is when I got the call up, so to speak, I felt like
you got called up to the big league?
I was like the fourth line winger who got called up to fill in for the first line prolific scorer, and I'm just hoping that I'm not sitting up on the ninth floor or I'm on the end of the bench.
Right, or in the media, in the press box.
Andy, I just want some ice time.
That's it.
I'm looking forward to
Well,
it.
happy that you're here filling in.
And Kevin's show on WATD is right before this show.
It's the lead-in.
The
There you
lead-in
go.
to our show every Monday night.
It's like
here
Wheel and
on
Jeopardy.
WATD.
It's like Jep and Wheel. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay. All right, so before we get started with our in-studio guests, which are comedians Joey Carroll and Joey Voices.
Fantastic.
Oh,
A tale of two Joeys.
it's it.
Awesome.
Joeys are actually kangaroos at Outback. You know, they have the bathroom. It's Joey. I'm just saying.
And in Australia, too, right? Yeah.
That's right. Because do you think they actually have Outbacks in Australia?
Outback Steakhouse?
Yeah.
With bloomin' onions?
Yeah, how funny would that be? It's not happening. All right.
How did we get on this?
I know. Let's talk about we're going to talk about an op-ed piece that ran in the Duncan, Oklahoma Banner. And the article ran on July 29th. And the title is, "We Are All One Accident Away from Opioid Addiction." And it was written by Julie Croft, who is the executive director for the Center for Wellness and Recovery. And basically, to summarize, Julie's op-ed piece was that we're all one accident away from becoming addicted to painkillers, opioids. And it usually starts innocently enough. And she's saying that someone gets injured, the physician writes them a prescription, and they use the medication, and then the cycle begins. One prescription becomes another, and one day you realize that you have the drug to fight the pain, and more important, to satisfy the cravings for that feeling that the drug gives you. And she says the enemy is really the stigma and a sense of disgrace and blame associated with abusing any kind of drug. And she's saying the stigma prevents people from seeking help. And people are ashamed to even tell their family or a doctor about the pain. And so it becomes a shambles because they continue to use. Okay, so she also talks about mindfulness, meditation, and having an open dialogue. So makes sense to me, right? I mean,
Sure.
but the craziness in the comments afterwards was astounding.
People
to me.
are incensed. They were incensed by it. But it's interesting that I would be curious as to whoever puts together these pieces, if in fact whether Julie was the one who crafted the title, or if it was something that was done by a page editor or a desk editor or a managing editor, because a lot of people are really upset just by the title alone if you read through the comments.
It's crazy. So it was, I mean, the comments were, almost it was vitriol. I mean, did any of the comments kind of strike you?
I haven't seen any. I was looking for at least some pause or some kind of counter, and it's all basically folks are upset. They kind of feel as though this is kind of a self-serving piece because, again, she's the executive director of a wellness facility that is touts itself as gaining a national reputation when it comes to battling the opioid use disorder.
Alex?
I think she's right. Any one of us is one accident away.
Is it denial, though? Is it denial on behalf of these folks who
they
are
feel
upset?
they feel like their drugs are being taken away from them, and that.
Any one of us could hurt ourselves today in a car accident or fall or whatever, and be prescribed opioids, and we can become addicted to it.
6% of the total population can get addicted to a painkiller. That's 6% of the entire population after 1 week.
Yeah.
After 1 week of taking this, because it tells your brain you're not in pain.
It's candy for your brain.
It is. And so when I read this, I'm like, well, why can't you have meditation? Why can't you have mindfulness? Why can't you do physical therapy to treat this?
Well, and there's other painkillers now that are not opioid based.
Right.
So that's what the doctors need to start pushing.
Right.
I haven't taken either. I don't know if they're equal in potency, or
Right.
if they both do the job correctly, or,
Right.
or the way it should be done. But that's definitely the way we have to go.
Yeah, I mean, and they're saying, well, not everybody's going to become an addict, and
No, not everybody, but if one becomes an addict, that's a problem.
well, how many overdoses do we have in the country? 77,000 last year.
And we had 11 2 weeks ago in one weekend here in Plymouth County.
Right. So I just felt like, I'm wondering if my question to you guys is if, depending on what part of the country we're in, you think we're going to get a total different response?
Well, what's interesting is that the addiction around the country doesn't it vary? It isn't necessarily it's not opioid across the country. I think that there are various types of addiction, whether it's
Different
opioid,
drugs in different areas
drugs,
of the
different
country.
areas, whether it's ice, cocaine, heroin, you name it. But I think it varies across the country. It isn't just one size fits all.
Yeah.
Or one drug fits all addiction.
Well, I thought it was interesting because being in a state like Massachusetts is very progressive. We talk about it all the time. We can treat pain through mindfulness and meditation and yoga. This was blasphemy when you read
Yeah, right.
when you read this. So if you want to read the article, it's on the DuncanBanner.com, and it was $7.29.
And that was Duncan, Oklahoma, right?
Who doesn't like Duncan, Oklahoma?
God.
Have you ever been to Duncan?
I might have driven through it once.
Really?
No.
And
No.
it's not spelled like the Duncan we all know here.
Or
No.
or the yo-yo?
Yeah.
No.
It is spelled like the yo-yo.
Duncan.
Famous yo-yo. Yep.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back on Crosscheck.
1, 2, 3, 4. Boston, for Boston, we sing out everything. For Boston, till listens as we play. For here I wanna also true, and the devil's on the heights, we say heaven's on blue. For Boston, till the echoes ring again. For Boston, till the echoes ring again.
Crosscheck, I'm Andy Bernstein, and our comrade Kevin Stevens, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, is on assignment today, but not to fret, because our co-host Alex Bezanson is still here, as well as
The fourth winger.
the fourth winger.
Fourth winger.
Fourth
The
line
fourth-
winger.
He's a grinder.
A grinder.
A grinder.
Currently sitting up on the ninth
Don
floor.
a Don the liner.
Just wants
And
a
you
nice
know,
time.
he was going to lace him up for the ice huggers one time, but he never did.
They didn't need two bad skaters out there, Alex.
I've never skated. I'll
retired.
have the goal to keep me. Anyway, let's welcome Kevin Tachi.
Thank you, sir.
From WATD's Monday Night Talk here in the South Shore of.
And Queen isn't here tonight.
The Queen is out.
Yeah.
Alyssa Horton is out.
That was the reason why I came.
I love it.
Yeah, I know. Everyone
I love
comes
it.
for-
The great Kevin Tachi in the big boy's seat. All right.
Who has the lead into our show right here?
That's right.
WATD.
That's right. All right. So we're going to welcome our first guest, Joey Carroll. He is a Boston favorite comedian, right?
He is Boston's favorite.
Boston's favorite. He's been described as a cross between George Carlin and Dennis Miller.
Yeah, that was an old description because Carlin was alive back then.
That's right. Right. So it's like, hey, let me compare you to
His relaxed manner.
Dennis Miller, who's disappeared, basically. And
Whatever happened to Dennis? Miller?
After Monday Night
Right?
Football,
Yeah.
that was it, right?
Yeah, he's still on tour. He's still
Is
doing
he?
theaters, yeah.
Is he?
so Joey is a regular working in Vegas still? No?
I haven't been to Vegas in a few years, but it's always open.
Okay. And you've, you work on cruise ships in
Yeah.
Atlantic City?
Atlantic City, yes.
Okay. So he works with a lot of charities and does a lot of nonprofit work with different community
Yes,
events.
I do a lot of stuff with veterans groups because I've done some deployment work. I've done shows over in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I do a lot of stuff back here. Like every Veterans Day, we have a show in Brockton at the VFW.
I've been there.
which
1046?
Yeah, for the Wounded Warrior Project
With,
Brockton Police and Fire.
Yep.
And it's a wonderful group of people, and I've been involved with them probably about 10 years at that one now.
And Nancy Liedberg's
Nancy
big,
Liedberg, Jason Ford,
yeah.
and it's a wonderful group of humans. And before that, they were doing Heroes Night at the Shaw Center with an
Yeah, I
honor
didn't know
a firefighter or a police officer and a teacher. So it's a lot of really good community-oriented stuff. I've got something coming up in October in New Jersey, another veterans gig, and then another in November in Indiana.
Wow.
So I'm crisscrossing with that stuff, as well as doing stuff for MORE, Massachusetts Organization of Addiction Recovery. We do a big fundraiser once a year at the Regent Theater in Arlington.
When is that?
That one is
September 10th.
that one's in May. That one
Okay.
we do in May, but we also do one for Right Turn there as well.
Well, just if I may interject.
Yes, please.
We will be there on September 10th at the Regent Theater.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, with the world premiere or the U.S. premiere of Kevin Stevens' movie Shattered.
Shattered,
Yes.
which is about his life. Speaking of life, we want to learn about your life and your. How about that for a segue? Learn about your life in comedy and how you got started.
Well, my Shattered's a little bit different. It's I've always been funny. I've always been a funny kid to the point that I used to get in trouble a lot in school. And then
I've heard.
Yeah, and at work and that whole thing. And at some point it was, why don't you try stand-up? And I went, yeah, okay. And they went, no, you can actually do this. And I went to an open mic, had a blast. I was selling real estate at the time. And within a year, I was no longer selling real estate, and I was driving 40,000 miles a year chasing a dream, which has still eluded me on some level.
You kill it from time to time, though, right?
I'm having a blast doing it.
That's all it's about, right?
I have a lot of fun. I've met some incredible people. And through the charity work, I've really met some amazing people who've been, idols of mine from sports and just amazing entertainers that I've got to work with that I never imagined when I started out doing this. I shared a tent with Bill Lee.
Wow.
The Spaceman.
Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
that like?
It was incredible. I did a show called Roughing It with Charlie Moore Outdoors. It was
Mad Fisherman.
Yeah,
Very nice.
2 comedians and 2 athletes would go on a camping trip and would have these little competitions.
On how to start a fire?
Well, it was stuff like that: how to start a fire,
That's awesome.
how to, who would set up the tent faster, how to fjord across a river, which I was really good at, turns out. Lightweight, it's much better for you. And but that was cool. And the other athlete was Mark Fidrich.
The late great,
Yeah,
the late great
and
Mark.
not a sweeter person on the
bird.
planet.
The
What
bird.
a nice
bird.
guy.
Rookie of the year, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rookie of the year 76.
He talked to the
Detroit
baseball.
Tigers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's a
just
tragic story.
Oh
with him,
yeah,
tragic.
But when I got the call to do that one, it was just, you're going on this thing, and I went, okay, well, who am I going with? And some of the other comics, DJ Hazard. Okay, great. I had no DJ. We'll have fun. They said, Bill Lee and Mark Fidrich. I have to call my entire 6th grade class. They're not going to believe this. This is incredible. But it's just, and the sobriety is important to me because that's how I find comedy. I got sober before I ever did it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I had that going first. I get sober at 25,
Okay.
and it was one of those things where it was the 80s, everybody was out, and, we didn't go to college to have dorm parties. We just went to dorm parties because we saved ourselves the tuition. Yeah, so, pass the savings along, volume. And we lived in the shadows of Harvard and MIT. Fantastic parties. They've got a really good study ethic, but their party ethic is right up there.
They work smart.
Oh, yeah, work smarter, not harder. And it was, but it was good. It was good for a while, and then I noticed that I wasn't like my other friends. If we were all buying rounds in a bar, I wouldn't wait for them to buy my round because my glass would be empty immediately, and I'd have to buy 2 or 3 in between. And I went, they just can't keep up with me. They're not putting in the effort. So, at the same time, it was occurring to me that I started to miss nice days. I was sleeping through beautiful Saturdays that I'd never get back. And I was going fishing with my cousin every Saturday, and I'd show up, and I'd be all banged up from the night before. And he's on his 2nd cup of coffee. He was sober at the time. I didn't know anybody like him. He was a freak. Because you have to understand, my normal was crazy.
Right.
So you have nothing to judge that by. He was the crazy one.
Right.
If you took him into a group of my friends that go, he does what on a Friday? And he goes home? Really? And he's up at 6 having coffee on Saturday. There's something not right. I don't know what happened to him. He got dropped as a kid. Something's off with this guy. But I would show up at his house every Saturday to go fishing. And about, a month into this season, this fishing season, I was just looking at him, and, he's clear-eyed and smiling and happy, and I'm hungover. I get a headache, and I'm just like, man, I just can't believe you. He goes, you don't have to do this to yourself. And I went, I work hard all week. I deserve it.
Yeah.
You deserve better. And it took maybe another couple of weeks, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready to try your way. And he didn't pressure me. He just showed me how to live a sober life, a healthy life, and I followed him. I remember going to my first meeting thinking the party was over, and I could not have been more wrong. It was just beginning at that moment.
That's amazing, though, that you actually...
Fishing saved my life.
Yeah, fishing saved your life. But you actually started your comedy career not...
Oh, no. I couldn't have started at that point because I wouldn't have shown up. I would have been drunk and missed a gig. I was not responsible. And, that panned out to the point that all the people who had been there for me in my life that I had let down over the course of not making it to an event on a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever it was, later in life after I got sober, I got to be there for them and with them. And, I did hospice with my mother. I was there for her. When my brother was in the hospital, I was there for him. And it was just... It's repaying a loan that you can never repay fully, but it's the one place in the world that you should be, and to be able to be there was the biggest gift of sobriety that I ever got.
What was it like getting started once you started on the road of sobriety? How easy or difficult was it to stay on it? Because at first
it was tricky for me. It was really tricky for me because my history is I've got the best bad luck you can ever imagine. Something horrible happens to me and I'll find the cloud. I get hit by a car at 19, almost killed, hit and run driver, left me for dead, realized life is short. I hug people. I tell them I love them. I take every day as a gift. However, the other side of the coin was I'm invincible. So I pushed the envelope as far as I could every day. I'm living life to the fullest, which wasn't exactly the right way to be the fullest. The fullest was crazy. But I went through that phase, and then 28 days into sobriety, going to meetings every day, I get hit on my motorcycle. And I'm on crutches, and I don't have a car. I just had the motorcycle that I can't ride now. 13 months of crutches. And I can't get to meetings because my network isn't where my friends are where I live. I don't know anybody sober where I am.
Right.
And this is before computers and all that other wonderful stuff to get around. Like, if I can't get to where I was, then I'm not going to meetings. So I had to white knuckle it for a little while so that I could get back up and running, which was fine. But at that moment, I used spite as a powerful force to stay sober. I'm not giving them the satisfaction. They're telling me I can't make it to a meeting and I'm going to slip. And I'm like, no, not me. I'm not going back to that life. I don't want it. I'm committed to this one.
Willpower.
Yeah.
Willpower is how you get through.
But I got through it with phone calls with other people. My cousin was always there for me. We'd talk on the phone. So I still had that part of it going for me.
You had a strong network, basically.
Yeah. And it's something that I learned more as I went on, that it's not so much for yourself, but you have to go back out to help other people. And it's incredible. I'll be at a meeting some night and I'll see somebody come in and it's their first time, and I'll just remember my first time. I'll see that fear in their face that it's all over and, man, this sucks. That's all they're thinking. And it's like, oh, no, you have no idea. Hang out with us for a week.
But we've heard that from other guests we've had on, that once you are sober, the thing you want to do is help others.
Yeah.
That's the key. I mean, Beth and Kimberly and everyone, and Kevin, everyone that we know that's been on the show, that's their goal now, is to help others.
And you do it through laughter.
Yeah, and it's been incredible because I liken it to when you find a good restaurant, the first thing you want to do is call all your friends that like to go out to eat and go, hey, man, I found something, you're going to love it. And that's what sobriety has been for me. It's just been, wow, man, you should, take a look at this. Just take a look at this. I'm not going to hard sell you, but, you might want to hang out with us for a week and see if you want to go back to your old life, because it's really, we have a lot of fun. We remember it the next day. We don't get hurt or arrested or anything like that. I mean,
It's a good life.
Not everybody, but for the most part.
Not for drinking and driving anyway.
But, when you take those, you take that crazy out of your life, you have room for all these wonderful things to come in, and the trust comes back. And the disappointment is gone.
Right.
And people, when you walk through the door, they're actually happy to see you, as opposed to, oh, man.
Not him.
Yeah, put the good china away.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Or he's going to be a pain, or
not
show up, or not even show up.
I'll tell you the worst thing, worse than not showing up, is showing up and just not leaving. Come on, you guys get a bottle of vodka somewhere, right? Come on, don't tease me. It's only 3. I know you got work tomorrow, but I'm going to bang in sick. Come on.
We'll do it together.
Yeah, you're not doing this right. Come on, little effort.
So tell us what's coming up.
What is coming up? That's a good question. Saturday, I go to Lake George, New York, and I just came back from Westchester, Pennsylvania, which was beautiful. Did a nice little theater up there, an old armory building converted. And then I should have some Boston dates in September, and then October I'm in New Jersey doing a fundraiser for a veteran out there. And then Indiana, I've got a big one in a theater out there in the week of Veterans Day. And then Brockton, November 11th.
Wow. Nice.
And hopefully we'll be doing something for the Hug Foundation at some point.
You will be.
As well as Power Forward.
Sometime this fall, probably a combination Power Forward, Hug Foundation.
Yeah, and we'll do something. We'll get people in a room with laughter, which is a very powerful thing to have. And if also, I like to do jokes about some dark things, and if you can take people's fear away, it's really powerful. You make them laugh at something they're afraid of, it's not so frightening anymore.
I just got to say a little tidbit here. Joey and my wife Lisa go all the way back to kindergarten together.
Wow.
They were in their first film together.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Piccalilli. It was a modern day twist on Rapunzel.
Modern day was
modern day
50 years ago.
Modern day, back in the days when they didn't have VCRs.
8 millimeter.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that again.
And the sound was separate. It was hysterical. So the soundtrack was recorded separately. So you had to like clap and hope it was the same time. It was crazy. But it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Well, thank you for coming back on. Can you give your website?
Yeah, funnyjoey.com.
He's the funny Joey.
Funny Joey.
Funny how? Sorry.
Funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
You had me. You had me.
you. Well, thank you again.
Oh, it's been a blast. It has been a blast. Thank
Always
you
a
so
pleasure.
much. Kevin, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
We'll be right back on Crosscheck.
1, 2, 3, 4. Boston, for Boston, we sing our refrain. For Boston, till listen us we play. For here our water hustle through, and the towers on the heights we say heavens are blue. For Boston, till the echoes ring again. For Boston, till the echoes ring again.
Welcome back to Crosscheck. I'm Andy Bernstein here with the great Alex Bazanson,
Thanks.
The great.
the
Thanks.
great
The great.
Abington
I'm amongst all my friends
icon.
today.
I know, right? Hey! And Kevin Tachi from WATD 95.9 on the South Shore of Boston.
FM dial.
FM dial. He
Loving
ho-
the ice time, Andy. Thank you.
That's it. Monday Night Talk, baby. That's it.
And us right after him.
And us right after him. We are not.
So he's on tonight for what, like 4 hours, 3 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I'm getting to hang out with my pal Joey Voices.
That's
Kevin
right.
Tachi, good man right
Well,
here.
you guys played softball together, didn't you?
We did a couple of years ago.
We did. Yeah.
With the Hug softball tournament.
that was good, yeah.
Help us give. Yes.
There you go.
Kevin will be back next week. The great Kevin Stevens, our two-time Stanley Cup.
Sorry I missed him. But
I
I,
know.
did tell him, I said, Kevin, I'm sorry I'm going to miss you next week, but hopefully you guys will have me back on when you're on. He says, absolutely. What a good guy.
You got to do.
Real
You got to
good guy.
learn how to do his voice.
I will.
Yeah,
As they
yeah,
call
I
him,
didn't
the
really
guy-
hear him talk too much, but,
the Geico Camel, one of the guys at the Penguin. Ha ha. Anyway, let's welcome Joey Voices. Sticking with the Joey theme, Joey is
thank you for having me.
absolutely. He is a comedian. He's an impressionist.
My mother thought it was funny.
Right, my mother.
My mother.
He's been performing for how long?
15 years.
Okay,
Going on 16.
and you go into Vegas.
I've
You
been
travel
performing my whole life, though, but professionally 15.
15 years, and you support the veterans.
I do.
Okay, and you pay tribute to them during
We have
the
a
show.
big show coming up at the VFW in Brockton on September the 14th.
There you go.
And
Okay.
I'll give that number out later on.
Okay, and then you also are an author, and you have an awesome new book called "Good Things Are Supposed to Happen
Yes.
to You." So, tell us your story. How did you get started?
I'm the youngest of 8 kids in a big Irish family.
Oh goodness.
Oh boy,
Four
God bless
boys
you.
and 4 girls, and I'm the only one my parents planned.
That's what they told you.
I was an well, my 25th birthday, my father. On my 25th birthday, my father sent me a birthday card. Now, my dad was the son of Irish immigrants.
Okay.
They came over to Malden from South Boston, and
Did they take the boat?
yeah, duck toys, yeah. So anyway, my father wrote me a card on my 25th birthday, and it said, now, this is my father was a lawyer, trial lawyer, 30 years, and I was an afterthought in my family if there ever was one. My brother David is 5.5 years older than me, and my sister Patty is 62, so she's 15 years older than me. I'm 47. So I opened up the card, and my father was a typical Irishman, wore the skelly cap, had a belly tucked out of the side of his mouth, wore the Izod sweater, So he, this is what he sounded like. He said, "Happy 25th birthday. They're the only one we planned.
Very up.
You're a quarter century old." So I called him on the phone. I said, "Hey, Dad." I says, he says, "How you doing?" He called me Ace. I said, "How you doing?" He says, "Happy birthday." I said, "Thanks." I said, "You really mean what you wrote in the card?" He says, "Sure." So, "Well, Dad, I'm 25. I said, "What took you so long?" He says, "I was busy." I said, "All right." He says, "Well, I don't know what to say." I said, "I love you, Dad." I go, "Thank you." He goes, "Don't thank me. Thank your mother. I was going to have a vasectomy. 8 kids is too many."
Uplifting.
He was a beautiful guy, my dad. I miss him. And always encouraged my talent as a singer. I was a hyperactive little kid. I know that's probably hard for you to believe.
Hard.
It's my nickname growing up was Ricky Ritalin. That was
Really?
That's all.
Yeah, that was-
Wow, that's
I'm
so
Andy Adder-
unlike you.
I'm Andy
so
Adderall.
unlike me. Yeah. Wow. So my father used to encourage. One of the things I did with all the energy that I had, I still have, was mimic the radio.
Okay.
So mimicking the radio was just kind of a natural
Can
thing
you
for me.
mimic Kevin Tachi?
I can't yet.
He's
but
working on it.
I can do Michael McDonald. I can like Michael McDonald.
Yeah, that's
The Doobie Brothers. You don't know me, but I'm your brother.
Wow.
I was raised here in this living house.
Wow.
Doobie Brothers, one of my favorite ones. Al Green, you like Al Green?
I do.
Go ahead.
Little Al Green?
Yeah.
Little Al Green. Gotta get the glasses for this one. Here we go. Al Green. You guys just sing along.
No. That's Ray Charles. What are you doing?
Oh, woman, don't treat me so mean. You're the meanest old woman I've never seen. No. Al Green, the Reverend Al Green. I'm so in love with you. Whatever you want to do is all right with me. So that's Al Green, the Reverend Al Green. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I just throw this out
Hold
there?
the applause. Hold the applause.
Prior to going live here on camera, we were talking about Pulp Fiction.
That's right. And this was
And Reservoir Dogs.
this is fear
This is it.
messing with you.
Right?
Oh my God! I totally got Pulp Fiction.
There it
Pulp
is.
Fiction now.
Right, yeah.
Hey, how about a little De Niro? Like Robert De Niro? I heard you guys doing De Niro earlier. Here's Robert De Niro.
Not very good though.
Here's Robert De Niro buying ice cream from Louis the Ice Cream Man. Hey, Louis. You better have my ice cream, Louis. I'm going to break your legs. I'll break your legs. I will break your legs. I will put them back together. I will break them again. You hear me? You hear me? You always tempt me with the Italian ice. You tease me. You tease me. But you know what I like? I like the cannonball. You know why? It's got the little bitty gumballs at the bottom, a little bit. Thank you very much. Thank you. No, please.
And you learned that from the great Dave Russo.
Dave
right?
Russo is my childhood friend since we were little boys. Played hockey together.
Dave's
And,
another
yep.
great
He
friend of
lives
the
in a
show
convent.
here.
He lives in a convent, right?
He lives in a convent, yeah.
Yeah.
So I gave him the nickname, the hardest working guy in show business. He's phenomenal. Kid's unbelievable. And you know what? When I first started out, it was guys like him and Joe Yannetti and I met Steve Sweeney later in my career, but early on, Paul Gilligan. Those guys were very instrumental in helping me, give me good advice on where to go, how to start, and they have been doing it. You know, Dave was doing it a few years longer than I was, but Joe Yannetti and Paul Gilligan were doing it like about 10, 15 years before I come along, and I still take their advice to heart because those guys are the best in the business. So, and Russo's right up there. Russo's right as good as anybody nationwide. That kid could go to any comedy club in the country and kill it any moment of any day.
Not bad for a guy who was homeschooled.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I got to dance with the chaperone, my mother.
So you are in sobriety.
I am, yeah. I've been sober 2 months now, but I had 16 years under my belt, and I got 23 years clean from any narcotics at all. I was 22 years old at the time when I stopped, and actually 23. And it was a fight I got into, and a guy attacked me, and I hurt him pretty bad. And you know, I didn't want to drink anymore after that because I didn't want to hurt anybody, and I didn't want to get hurt. And so I stayed clean and sober for 16 years, and I went through a midlife crisis at 40, and started drinking again. Met a girl that was younger than me, and just a nightmare scenario. And you get blindsided. Things blindside you, you know. I started drinking again, and it was off and on for 7 years. And thank God I never got into any fights. I mean, I don't have the spirit anymore. I'm more mature now than I was in my early 20s. But you know, it's not healthy for you.
It's for kids, right?
And Steve Sweeney said it to me. Steve Sweeney goes, Joe, how you doing with the drinking? I go, I was off and on at the time when he asked. And he goes, Joe, you don't need it. Replace it with spiritual growth. He goes, drink, it's for kids. And when he said that to me, it just hit me. It just hit me so hard. And I said, he's right. So I started writing a book.
Yeah, tell us about the book.
And the book is called Sober Voices, Sober Choices. And it's not about me per se, Joey voices. It's about the voices in sobriety, in recovery, that support each other. And if you keep going to meetings, and if you're around sober voices, then you're gonna make sober choices, because that's what you're saturating your mind with, which is what my book is all about: reprogramming your mind. And
What book number is this?
This is the first book right here. But the second book that's going to be coming out is called Pretend to Be What You Intend to Be, about visioneering your future, creating a picture of yourself in the future, so that version of yourself changes the past, that future past, which is now, so that you make better decisions moving forward, living into that picture in that future version of yourself, which is a very powerful principle. When that book's going to come out, it's going to be on the heels of this one, which is out now, and people can go to joeyvoices.com if they want an autographed copy of it. I'll sign it and I'll send it to them. But
I know
Sober Voices will be out either this year or early next year. But it's a great read. It's a great book, and it's not too long either for those of you out there that have
reading
attention deficit disorder.
Right, and reading is fun.
And reading is fun. And fundamental.
And Lisa,
and fun for the mental.
Lisa, Joey gave Lisa a copy of this about a week or so ago.
Yeah.
And she swears by it.
I walked in and she goes, "I read your book. It was great. And it has changed my life." I go, "Get out of here." She goes, "Yeah, I read the whole thing. It's great." And she didn't really go into details. I'm going to let you do that, Alex, because you said you wanted to kind of tell me what, and elaborate on it or expound.
A couple of good things have happened to us, so we won't say on the air. But,
all right.
You got to meet me.
Well,
there it is.
The book was after you, Andy.
Oh, okay.
So we're stuck with you, Andy.
Okay. All right.
Good things are supposed to stick to us too, I guess.
And
Like
Rico
fungus.
Petrocelli wrote Rico Petrocelli, Red Sox legend, wrote the foreword, and he writes a nice story about how we met, and he talks about how he's in 100% agreement with the book, and he says this book can change your life. He said, "Give us the first thing your wife said. This book changed my life." He's right.
She's right.
Can you touch on some of the topics?
Sure, absolutely. It's the principle of reprogramming your mind to work for you and not against you. Now, everybody, before they reach the age of accountability, and that can be anywhere from 7 years old on, is the sum total of other people's beliefs and thoughts. And that's just a reality.
Set the
because
narrative for you.
What's that?
No, somebody else sets the narrative for you.
Absolutely. They set the narrative, and hopefully it's a good one, right?
Right.
And then you get to choose yourself when you get older what you want to believe.
Right.
But the advice that I would give to anybody who's going to believe anything, make sure you look at both sides of the argument so you can make a fully informed, educated decision on what you're going to believe, because what you believe affects you daily and profoundly moving forward in your life, and it dictates what happens to you in your life and the people you invite with your energy signature toward you into your orbit. And all you got to do is look at a person to know what their thought pattern is, because I tell people all the time, I go, you want to know about your life? Look at your friends and look at what's happening to you in your life and what has happened and what hasn't happened that you wanted to happen. And it all traces back to your thoughts about yourself, the world, and your place in the world.
Talk about that more as far as looking at it from two sides. It seems as though our society is more and more gravitating to one side or the other.
Absolutely.
Not really looking at a situation from all sides.
That's right. They're not, because it's emotionally charged, especially politics. It's emotionally charged. People would do themselves a favor if they would just step back and look at the situation from a logical standpoint. When emotions are involved, when you've already given your heart to a situation, to an ideal, logic doesn't enter into it because you already believe it. It's almost like, well, it is like teaching a child that 2 + 2 is 5. Now he loves his mother and his father. His father might be his hero. His father teaches him 2 + 2 is 5 his whole young life. Kid gets older. Someone comes along and shows him in a math equation that it's 5, and he says, well, that doesn't feel right. I know what you're showing me, but I know what I believe. I believe that it's 5 because my father taught me it's 5. My father's not wrong. So I don't care that you're showing me that 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 is 4. I feel that it's 5, so I go by how I feel. Well, if you're in that predicament in life, you're in big trouble because you're letting your emotions override logic. And to deny the facts in spite of the facts is sheer and willful ignorance. And don't be ignorant in life.
Yeah.
The only one that cares about you and the most is you. So do yourself a favor and educate yourself.
Well, his father might be shaking his fist at Common Core
Sure,
math.
yeah,
It could
yeah.
be that.
It could be, yeah.
It could be, but if I could follow up, would you say, is it safe to say that some of the stuff that you were able to compile and share with the readers is spiritual based too?
Well, the reason that I talk about my faith, now I went to seminary, theological seminary, I was going to be a minister. And it just wasn't my calling because I love performing and entertaining. And being a minister is a full-time job. I mean, you're counseling people, you're researching and studying and writing sermons, and that's a full-time job. On top of wiping people's noses when they come to you with their problems.
Hey, yo, Father Joey.
You know
hey,
what I mean? So
hey.
it's like it's a full-time job. So I had to
Father
make a
Joey.
decision. So I said I'm going to follow through with seminary, and I was going to go for my doctorate, but something happened in the 8th year and a personal problem, and I just didn't finish. I went 7 years, got my master's degree, but I was going to go for my doctorate, and my philosophy was, well, I'll go for my doctorate, and if I don't get called to preach by the Lord, then maybe I'll open up a shrink practice. Someone who has people who have voices can come see Dr. Voices. Who knows?
The doctor is in. Like
the doctor is in. Yeah,
I
so
like the Dr. Voices.
Dr. Voices. Yeah, it's a good nickname. Yeah,
Dr. Voices.
But when I started studying quantum entanglement, which is quantum physics, it's how we have the internet and wireless connection. It comes from quantum entanglement. Okay, I talk about it in my book, and I describe it in my book. A little too long to kind of go into here, but when I started studying it and the power of the energy that you have with your thoughts alone, and when you imbue those thoughts with your feelings, because your thoughts create your feelings, and your combined thoughts and feelings create your state of being, and your state of being creates your personality, and your personality creates your personal reality. Now, that's a very powerful statement in that order.
Right.
And so you have a unique power to be able to attract people into your orbit that you want to come into your life. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you're looking to be friends with a certain type of person, then you need to be that type of person so that you're putting out that specific energy signature. It's like a beacon, a calling card to that type of person, those type of people, so they'll recognize you and want to be friends with you. So if you're a negative person,
that's what you're getting.
Positive people aren't going to want to be friends with you. My father used to tell me when I was a kid, in layman's terms, he used to say, Ace, if you're looking for trouble, you're going to find it. If you're looking for love, you're going to find that too. Because what you're looking for, you find. What you focus on, you find in life. And so you're putting that energy signature out there, and it's very, very powerful. Everything is energy, and it's radio frequency. How do you think radio works? They harness it from the atmosphere, the radio waves of and the energy of the atmosphere. They've harnessed that energy, and they've channeled it. And we have that power. Nikola Tesla said that in the 1920s, and they were going to lock him up. He goes, I have an idea that I want you to back me for. He went to his backers, right? And he says, I want you to give me money to research this and to develop this. And he says, I have a way that we can, we're going to be able to communicate with each other without wires. And they thought he was crazy. They were going to lock him up. They really were going to put him in an insane asylum.
Right.
And then 20, 30 years later, voila.
Let me ask you a question.
And that was before it was ever even released to the public. The government knew, and they had it. They had all his papers when he died. They went in and confiscated all of his papers so that they could take his research and develop it themselves and make all the money, unfortunately.
How has it...
Evil exists. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. How is it... Can you give us some examples how it has helped you in your own life?
Yeah. I learned that through repetition... I learned, first of all, the principle of repetition. Repetition is the price of learning and remembering anything. And so the more you repeat something, eventually it takes an imprint on your subconscious mind, and it becomes automatic, so that you don't even have to think about it anymore. It's like catching ground balls, to put it in baseball terms,
Mm-hmm.
or shooting hockey pucks, to put it in crosscheck terms.
There you go.
I was a hockey player, by the way, my whole life, yeah. So the more you shoot, the more accurate your shot's going to become. Mm-hmm. And it's going to come automatic at some point. Mm-hmm. So practicing and repeating positive daily affirmations, being your own best friend, is what's going to change and reprogram your subconscious mind. By consciously being aware, and what you tell yourself every single day is what you're going to attract into your life moving forward. It's the truth. And you see it in people's lives.
It's amazing.
It's really a simple concept, but most people just don't understand it. They don't realize it until you get someone that comes along and says, I'm going to study the heck out of that.
Right.
And I'm going to write a book about that. And I'm going to share that with the world. And that's going to be my way of adding value to this world. And that's what I did. And so I recognized when I started seeing these law of attraction, that's really what it is. It's a law of attraction.
Right.
When I started seeing these principles, I said, wait a minute, Jesus said that. And I started seeing parallels between the things that Jesus would teach, what the law of attraction teaches. Now, the unique perspective that I brought to the table and bring to the table is that I'm coming at quantum physics from a theological background. Most quantum physicists they've probably forgotten more than I'll ever learn about the subject. The disadvantage that they have is they're only coming from quantum physics from a quantum physics scientific standpoint.
Theory.
So they're not seeing the parallels that I'm seeing.
Okay.
So I took this book and I showed in this book what the law of attraction is, and more importantly, what it is not.
Okay.
Because they don't draw a dichotomy between what it is and what it isn't, and I do in this book.
Is it worth asking what it was like to compile information and make it into a book? What was the process?
Great.
What was the process like for you?
I was lying in bed one day and I said to my fiance, I was like, she was my girlfriend at the time. I said, her name's Colleen. I said, baby, I go,
Great girl, by the way.
thank you. Thank you, fella. I'm going to tell you something. She'll see this.
Yeah, she will.
I said, baby, I got to write a book. I go, I don't know how to write a book. What do I do? How do I do this? I don't know what to do. So I tried to research it. There was nothing I really found that told me how to write a book. So I just said, I'm just going to start writing things down. And what I'll do is I'll look at my favorite author's book, and I'll look at how he prefaces everything, about the author, the table of contents, reviews. I put the reviews at the back of the book. Chapter 1, introduction in the beginning, then chapter 1, chapter 2. So I kind of used that format, and I laid that format out. I did it all on my phone. I wrote this book on my phone. Now I use a computer. But writing this first book, I didn't have one. And so I wrote this book on my phone. And I laid out the format. And I just started writing. Didn't know it was going to be chapter 1 or even the introduction. I didn't know what it was going to be. But when I started writing it, I said, okay, right here seems like a pretty good spot to maybe start a new chapter on a new thought. And Bob Hilberg, who wrote the book
Total Patriots.
Total Patriots, very close friend of mine,
Me too.
and he contributed to this book, by the way. Bob's a wonderful guy.
Some of your shows.
Yeah,
He's a
great
good
guy.
guy.
Yep.
Great person. And and again, I'm living proof that I've attracted great people into my orbit by the energy that I've put out there. And that taught me that. That has shown me the difference in my life. But anyway, he taught me something very profound about writing. And those of you watching by way of television, please listen to this. If you ever want to write a book, remember this principle. Every thought deserves its own sentence. Run-on sentences messes with the human mind. If the reader reads a thought and you put a comma, you're not giving that person a chance to stop and chew on and consider what they just read. You're just running on the sentence, and they're going to forget about what they should have stopped and thought about, a minute ago, 2 minutes ago, before the run-on sentence ended. You see what I mean? So he taught me that, and when he taught me that, it really helped me moving forward in my writing. I went back over this manuscript and changed a lot of things using that principle, and it really helped and made the book that much better. Simple principle, isn't it? The simple things in life.
Has it helped with your comedy?
It's
And I'll tell you,
me interacting with people.
that's what I'm saying.
It's,
Understanding your audience, more,
absolutely.
Reading where they are, taking the temperature.
I had a mind for that anyway before I started reading about quantum physics. I had a mind for it anyway because of my theological background.
Okay.
On my radio show back in 2015, I would talk about every seed you plant has a harvest. And so whatever you put out into the soil of the atmosphere is going to come back to you. It's not going to come back void. I mean, when you plant cucumbers, you get cucumbers. You don't get corn. So you reap what you sow in this world.
What are the plants?
That's right.
That's what I've been saying.
So when I met Colleen, she said, "Have you ever seen that movie, The Secret?" And I said, "No," and I hadn't. And since then, I've watched it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with every single thing that they teach in that. Again, because I come from a theological background. But I took I watched that movie so many times, and the reason I did that was because I understand that when you're watching something, a lot of times if you see a scene in a movie, it'll get you thinking about something, and then you go off on a thought, and you miss some of the scenes in that movie. And then when you go back and watch it again, same thing happens further on, and you pick things up. So you watch something 1,000 times, it's like turning over every rock and learning everything I could possibly, squeezing out every drop of water I could squeeze from that sponge so I could learn everything I could so I could take it and apply it to my own life. And in my book, I can say, okay, I agree with most of this, but I don't agree with this, and here's why. And then I put down my own thoughts about it. And that's what I did in this book.
Name of the book?
Book is called Good Things Are Supposed to Happen to You. Do you believe that?
Without a doubt.
You believe that?
Yes.
Unfortunately, a lot of people don't believe that. Why? Because they watch too much news. And the news has brainwashed them to believing that bad things are supposed to happen to them. Why? Because bad things happen. Well, why do bad things happen to good people? I mean, why do bad things happen to good people? Flip that on its head. Why do good things happen to bad people? I mean, it rains. If Jeffrey Dahmer and Mother Teresa go outside, it's going to rain on both of them. I mean, it has nothing to do with whether you're good or bad. Life is life. We're living in this world, and it isn't about what happens to you predominantly. It's about how you respond to what happens to you as to what's going to happen moving forward. If you think, just my luck, then the rest of your day is going to go like crap because you're moving forward, creating that. You're creating that with those thoughts. Instead, stop and say, wait a minute. It's okay.
Restart this.
Yeah, restart this. Wait a minute. I'm going to stop and I'm going to imagine the rest of my day, how I want it to go in detail. And I'm going to picture myself getting to my destination at the end of my day safely.
Change the channel.
That's right. Change the channel. Take the record off the negative.
Right.
Needle off the negative record.
No,
Put
you're
it on
really
a positive
dating
one.
yourself.
I know, man. Hey, well, records are coming back, right?
They are.
Yeah.
Vinyl's coming back.
Well, it's not like he said 8-track. It's not like he said that.
It isn't.
Phonograph?
It isn't like I said 8-track or cassette tape.
Right.
Or
Talking machine.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
having me, really.
Give your website again.
The website is joeyvoices.com. If anybody wants an autographed copy of the book, you can go there. And stay tuned for more of my other books. And I'm going to come back on when my JFK book comes
Love it.
out
Nice.
about the assassination. You guys are going to love what I put together for that. It's really cool. It's really good.
Joey Voices, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joey.
Alex, thank you very much. Kevin, thank you. And I can't wait to come back. Thanks
Well,
again.
thanks again. We'll be right back on Crosscheck. Crosscheck. I'm Andy Bernstein, here with Alex Bazanson.
And we still have a Kevin.
We still have a Kevin Tachi.
Yes, the fourth liner.
From that's right.
Who played hockey too?
Who played hockey
Yeah,
from
yeah.
WATD 95.9.
He doesn't have 2 Stanley Cups, but
No, it's
No,
more of
and
a
our-
Happy Gilmore kind of a
That's
guy.
right. But our new Stanley Cup, or our Stanley Cup champion, will be back next week.
He
Kevin
will.
Stevens. He's on assignment right now, but he will be back.
out spreading the good word
And cheer.
and cheer.
And cheer. So, real quick, Kevin, what did you think of?
Fantastic show. 2 great guests, both guys named Joey.
We can't get wrong with
You
that.
can't go wrong with that. And both of them telling you their valuable stories in regards to being sober and what it meant to get sober.
Right. And they're very functioning. You know, maybe. No, I'm kidding. No, they're doing great work, and they're sharing their stories, which is all we can really ask for.
And that's our message, to share the story, and it's not all doom and gloom. We're here to help, and some of our guests have great lives since they've become
They've
sober.
thrived.
Right.
They've
They've
thrived.
thrived on sobriety.
Right. And exactly. And Joey Carroll became a comic
After.
which I did not know that.
Which is really strange, because we've talked to other comedians and they needed the drink to go on stage,
Right.
and it was just completely opposite with Joey Carroll.
Their stories is prevention. If you
Exactly.
think about it. But by
Exactly.
hearing their stories, it's telling people not to go down their road. more or less, right?
Right.
So we have some quick news. We're going to have a movie premiere on September 10th.
The U.S. premiere of Kevin Stevens' movie Shattered will be on September 10th at the
Regent Theater.
Regent Theater in Arlington.
Correct.
You can get tickets online for
Yes.
it at powerforward25.com. And
It's a great film.
there'll be a lot of celebrities there. It's a great film. There'll be a question and answer after the movie, and then we're going back to a restaurant, and I'm sorry.
Not in Me Grill.
Okay, there you go. Afterwards, and you can get tickets for that also. And all the money goes to Power Forward to continue our message. Power Forward is a 501c3 nonprofit.
And our website is powerforward25.com.
It is.
And I will also add to that, this film was something that was a nominated film by the Canadian Screen Awards.
Yes, it was produced by
Rogers Sportsnet in Canada, and it aired one time on the NHL Network, and it hasn't aired since. And it's Kevin's story, and it's raw, but it's very positive, and definitely something you should see. So that's our show for the week.
It is.
And
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you guys for allowing me to be a part of the program.
Great for you to be on my show now. Since I got started with you 15 years ago.
That's many moons ago.
Many moons, and I've been on Kevin's show that
on WATD.
ATD right before this show many times, and thank you for WATD 95.9 FM.
We'll see you next time on Crosscheck.
You got it.